So then we are back with the more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where you find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzaielic lineage, so then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yishamael the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Mashiach laid waste from many centuries. As we read it in Yishamael the prophet, there is a section related with trade, and there is a section related with military, and later on a layer related with the tabernacling. But most importantly, there is very important news regarding Egypt, or Mitzeraiym, that has made a deal with China, the kingdom of the East. They are doing money swap worth of 2.6 times 12 digits. And after the decision of building a new capital of Egypt, some 47 kilometers from the existing capital, and this particular understanding simply gives more fuel regarding the building of this new city. Now, the building of this city is not only related with the city in itself being constructed, but there is the economical belt, or then the Silk Road, that also must be included in the plan. Now, these truly shouldn't have any surprise as far as what the nations are doing, because the Nevi'im, the prophets, they have mentioned very precisely then the refurbishment not only of tabernacling but also trade, and then the gathering of the sons of Yishamael in this particular place that was an absolutely icon of trade centuries ago. And Daniel the 11th chapter gives us a very strong, quote-unquote, a beam of light regarding the influence of the trade of the Middle East. Now, Daniel the 11th chapter explains portions of Mitzeraiym not becoming a military power as it was many centuries ago, but it does give a very important point of the exercise of the first steps of the sons of Yishamael. Though we understand Egypt is very old, however, there is a point that the scripture uses as a point of contact of these particular routes, the Silk Road, or the routes established many centuries ago, in the gathering of the sons of Yishamael in this particular project. Now then, the situation related with this then gives us a few clues of taxes. And what does it take to understand taxes in the midst of this turmoil of decisions? Mitzrayim is the birthplace of Hagar. Hagar was a beloved servant, and Abraham and Hagar had a son, and his name was Ishmael. Very beloved. He was a very fine son, and Abraham had the spoils of war, and he conquered many decades prior. Now then, as it was part of the culture of the time, when a person would reach 40, 50 years old, then they would take on a wife and responsibilities, and had a family and so on and so forth. So we find then that this particular layer is there for a reason. Now, not only the economy plays a huge portion in this understanding, but also the military. And then simultaneously, then Iran is dealing with a nuclear situation. And then, as we understand, Egypt in northern Africa, there is a portion there that must be protected under a nuclear deal. Now, the understanding yet is a bit fragmentary because the details are coming as the timing of the restoration period takes on new information from the world. And then forming a line from east to west until it reaches the northern portion of Africa, in protecting this area, so then the flow of armies later on during the time of the autumn feast, then they can flow east to west and then going north on the river Euphrates. These understandings obviously are very powerful, and at the moment Egypt is going through few changes of its own, but it shows a very important point of refurbishment of this great nation. Now then, there are other situations going on regarding then the trade of China, the kingdom of the East. It was explained previously that the kingdom of China has the most flexible economical system in the world, and because of its influence, it shouldn't surprise us in understanding why our country is not prepared for the new system coming very shortly, because there is a portion already started, and there's a refined second portion yet that must be established. After the establishment, then there is no going back, because then sets the tone for then Revelation, the 8th chapter, that in fact the 8th chapter should be around chapter 20. But this particular layer indicates that the Chinese, not only they have the most flexible system in the world, it doesn't take much for a person to understand that the East can generate monetary systems. That's the whole situation that makes the whole lot very dangerous. Okay, it's one thing for a person at this point in time dealing with a few of these translated in English virtual systems. Some of them are linked with central banks, some of them are not. But when China's influence becomes in a certain level in a very near future, the industry of the East can easily, but absolutely very easily, coming up with virtual money without the influence of central banks, because the industry is so powerful, and they have deal with the freighters. The freighters are obviously reporting their data, and they are very aware of the amount of taxes they are receiving. So for China, the situation is not truly concerning, because in any nation they can put out systems that are linked with theirs and via internet. And as many systems are required not linked with central banks, China can simply put them out. And any decent computer can start buying units of this money, thus linking with their own system, because extremely favorable and very flexible. And then the other nations simply have to go along with it. So then, the situation regarding Mitzeraiym truly is a portion of this period of time where then ISIL and the sons of Yishamael in combat and doing their duties because they believe what they should be doing. So then indicates the regrouping of this particular section of these people. And because of China already has a hold of the market, that's the whole point of the situation. China already has the whole lot in its own authority. Then the refurbishment of the Middle East truly is not a concerned situation. Because at the point you have the system under the control, then the other lateral situations can be easily flexed. So the news obviously are very encouraging. But then the situation regarding Syria, because China and the Soviets, they have veto, stating it's counterproductive, the Syria's resolution. So it shows that in the military viewpoint, the Soviets are always involved. It's another clue of the flow of events. And China is linked with both. And the rest of the world must simply understand it. And when the Chinese president goes around and he gives his talks and he talks about infrastructure and some other situations of transport, it's because they already have the system set. Now, as easy as, for instance, understanding Bitcoin, and it was for a while a very controversial point. It was placed aside for a short while, then came back, and then they tried to standardize it. But it is not the ability of standardizing. It is the inability of tracking of the numbers of these virtual systems available, not linked with central banks, and those who must be generated yet. So because the East is very prominent trade-wise, how is then the rights of usage of internet are going to be used worldwide? Nations, they cannot simply go there and try to control the Wi-Fi signals. And speaking of taxes, not even as a dream. So then when Daniel, the prophet, explained, "And knowledge shall increase," from the viewpoint of trade, this is what we are speaking of. Daniel was the most prominent and top of the line dealer or financial dealer of his time. He had a very sophisticated, for the time, credit, a line of credit and investments and loans. And then later on he knew that what he had, the understanding he had, would be greatly multiplied. But the principles were already taught. So we are dealing only with amounts of situations, not new concepts. Otherwise it wouldn't be restoration, it would be a new thing. So we are experiencing a period of time that Daniel already had experienced before. So, there is the nuclear deal going on, and the new capital of Egypt, Cairo, 47 kilometers, some 37, 38 miles from the existing city. The sons of Yishamael gathering it up, their people, and helping Mitzeraiym build this city, because truly is the icon of their faith. At this point in time, they are only dying. They are making no statement at the moment. They understand, the world understands they are a power to reckon with, but that's the only thing going for them. Now, when they are talking of a place, an united country, and their birthplace as world icon, then they are dealing with systems and providing information for both objectives: trade, as it was practiced many centuries ago, the Silk Road, and a great deal of military. So, Daniel truly is very important. The flows of events are absolutely precise, and the point is waiting for a bit longer, so then more information can start flowing, so then these understandings then can be obviously studied in Hebrew. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.